The 1830s to the 1860s was a literary period known as Transcendentalism. Transcendentalism was the belief that abstract thought was better than concrete thought, that one should go beyond what they perceive through their senses and find a greater knowledge, often through meditating in nature, as a famous writer Henry David Thoreau did. Some of the famous plots and themes of Transcendentalism were to find beauty in nature, to go beyond your senses, and to challenge societal norms, as another famous writer of the period, Margaret Fuller, did for women. The most famous writer during the Transcendentalist movement was known as Ralph Waldo Emerson, who wrote the famous essay Nature and the poem The Snowstorm. Also, Emerson challenged Americans to have and create their own identity instead of depending on Britain to create their identity for them.
To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment.
Another famous writer during this period was a friend of Emerson's, although several years younger. His name was Henry David Thoreau, and he wrote a short series of essays titled Walden while meditating on a lake named Walden.
It is not what you look at that matters, it is what you see.
The final notable author of this period was Margaret Fuller, who was an advocate of women's rights and wrote the essay Women in the 19th Century.
If you have knowledge, let others light their candles in it.
Some additional factors that could have affected the Transcendentalist movement were the westward expansion, the Mexican-American War, and especially the development of American identity, as the Transcendentalist movement was based on the idea that man could create much more than what it perceived through its senses. The end.